So today I'm gonna show you a real live deal I just bought. We just closed it recently. We just finished rehabbing the property and now we're gonna work on building out some extra home on this property. In Seattle, we call them ADU or detached ADU. I'm also gonna just throw a guy a little disclaimer. Some of you guys are gonna watch this video and go, I don't have that kind of experience or that kind of money. But I want you guys just look at the concept, how I'm doing it, because it's the concept that matters. Some other bird deal that I'm teaching my student, they're not as complex, they're more simple. This is a little more, complex. That's why I can make $1 million off of one deal. So just follow along. You have questions, you can ask in the comment, all right? I'm gonna share with you guys how I found this deal, and then I'm gonna share with you what I'm doing, but more importantly, I'm gonna share with you how I'm financing this bird deal, all right? So here we go. We were driving up the street to check on one of my rental property, and my wife, Cammie, saw this house that we have been mailing to, calling, and nobody answered. And she pulled over and she went up to the property. She knows someone was working on it. And she asked the guy, hey, is this your property? And the worker that was there said no. He happened to call the owner and the owner got on the phone. And my wife, Cammie, asked, hey, have you ever thought about selling this? And the owner says, funny you ask, that I am thinking of actually selling it. We end up putting a deal together and we end up buying the property. So we got the deal from actually door knocking. We've been cold calling, we've been setting out flyers, we've been doing all the stuff I talk about on social media. We just couldn't get a hold of them, and happened that we went by and the contractor was working on it and he happened to call the owner's cell number. That, you guys, is called working all the ways on how to get a hold of the owner. So let me break down with you how I bought this deal and then what I'm doing to this deal, okay? It's a little complex. I'm gonna try to keep it real simple, all right? How to finance a bird deal. A lot of people always ask me on social media, how do I actually finance this bird? Because you don't talk a lot about that. I started a YouTube channel now so I can explain to you a little more in depth, all right? So here we go. I bought this property as a fixer for $560,000, okay? This house sits on a 7,000 square foot lot, or 7,200, something like that, right? But it's around 7,000 square feet. All in, it costs $140,000 to rehab. I'm blessed that I have some money. So in this scenario, I did not use hard money lending to buy the property and to pay for the rehab. Since I had some extra cash, I decided to pay cash for the property, which is $560,000, and I paid cash to rehab the property. So I'm all in for $700,000. So I put up all $700,000 of my own money to do this without paying hard money lending to borrow their money. Now, some of you guys are probably watching and saying, but I ain't got that kind of money. If you don't have that kind of money, you can use hard money lending. Some deals that I do, I actually use hard money lending. On another project, on another video, I'm gonna show you how I use hard money lending on the deal. But for this deal right now, let's just stick with this. I pay cash for this property, okay? So I'm all in for $700,000. This property literally is coming around getting done. This property, I know from selling real estate by doing all the comparable, this house right here is worth $850,000. That right there, you guys, is what I call $150,000 worth of equity, sweat equity. This is why you all hear me talk about. I don't like buying property that's on the market. If I was to buy it on the market, I'd pay $850,000 for this same exact home. But since I rehabbed it, put my own time and my own money, my own risk, my own sweat in it, by the time I'm done, I get to pick up $150,000 with the sweat equity, okay? This property here, we can rent this property for $3,500 bucks. I'm gonna show you right now on what the mortgage is gonna be on this, how much cash flow I'm making. This is what I've done so far, all right? So let me show you now, let me show you this. So, remember how I always talk about BRRRR? I always say, when I do a BRRRR, I wanna get all my money back. So right now, I got $700,000 in this property. I want to get my money back. I have no money vested and I want a cash flow. Since the property is all free and clear and it's time to what I call do the refi. Remember, buy it as a fixer, rehab it, which we did already, rent it out, and now it's time to refi and get my $700,000 back out. Okay? Here's what I know. Bank will lend me up to 70% of the ARV. 70% 850 is $595,000. Call it 600 grand for easy calculation. But if I actually go get a loan for 600,000, you guys, the mortgage on this thing right here will be probably close to $3,800. And I only can rent it out for $3,500, so it'd be negative. I don't want to do that. So I asked myself, how much of a loan do I need to actually cash flow? Well, remember, since I own this free and clear, the bank will give me up to $600,000. But I decided I'm going to get a loan for $450,000. The interest, principal, property tax, insurance, everything, it's about $2,800 to $3,000. Call it $3,000 for the mortgage. I can rent this out for $3,500 bucks. I mean, I have cash flow of $500, but I have to leave $250,000 of my own money. Remember, I put out $700 grand. So I'm only gonna get a loan for $450. I mean, I have to leave $250 grand of my own money in this deal. This is why I always talk about the BRRRR model. In order to do the BRRRR, what I call the thatch standard of full BRRRR, I always like to get at least 30% equity. On this deal right here, $150,000 divided by $850,000, that's only like a 17, 18% margin. So it's far away from 30%. That's why if this deal didn't have the space so I can build the extra ADU and DADU, this would be a flip deal. Probably more like a wholesale deal for me, okay? But since I can put DADU and ADU on this property, this is a good deal I'm gonna show you in a minute. But again, I'm only gonna get a loan for $450. My mortgage on this is $3 grand all in, property tax, insurance, everything. I'm gonna rent this out for $3,500. I make $500 a month, but I gotta leave $250,000 of my $700 grand in this property. Yes, I still got $250 in it, but I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna get the other $250 back out. So I'll be no money vested, okay? This is the primary house. You guys got it? Now I'm gonna show you the bonus. So on this same property, I have the opportunity to add 2 more homes on this property, an ADU and a detached ADU. In Seattle, the max of a square footage we can do is 1,000 square feet each unit. I'm gonna break down the number, how much it cost me. I'm gonna break down again how I'm financing this deal, the BRRRR model. So the ADU, I got the land for free because I came with the property, right? Now, just so you guys know, the zoning on this is single family zoning. In all big city now, the city are allowing people to put a detached dwelling unit or a additional dwelling unit on their property on single family zoning. California doing it, all through the state of California. A lot of cities are doing it now because they want to create more density to create more housing, okay? So, since I had extra land, the lot is free. New construction to build a 1,000 square foot unit is between $250,000 and $300,000. I just did one for $250,000, but I'm just gonna call it $300,000 on the high side. So I mean, I'm all in, you guys, land and construction for $300 grand. The ADU, when it's all done, it's worth $800,000 in this neighborhood recently, right? There's a bunch of them sold for $800,000, no problem. So this thing will be worth $800,000, no problem. I mean, I'm all in for $300,000. This is worth $800,000. I mean, I got a $500,000 with the equity for one deal. Is that crazy? Now the DADU, which is also, remember, 2 property on this property, it's the same number. Free land, $300,000 for construction, $800,000 ARV. Also, in these 2 deals, I'm making $1 million in equity, you guys, on the 2 property. That is what I call crazy. I'm gonna pay cash to build these out, but I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna finance this BRRRR deal to get back my $300,000. And remember, the other $250,000 from the primary house, I still got stuck in there, okay? My goal is to get $300,000 back out, which is $600,000, plus the $250,000. So watch. The bank will loan me up to, again, 70%, $800,000. That means they will loan me up to $560,000 on one deal. I got 2 of them, right? So they will loan up to $560,000. But I don't need all $560,000 because I know if I borrow $560,000, my loan amount is gonna be high and my monthly payment is gonna be high. I won't cash flow. Remember, I'm only $300,000 into this deal. I just need to get enough money to get my $300 grand back out. But I also remember, I got $250 grand on the primary. So if I got 2 property, I said to myself, well, what if I got a loan for $425 on each property? If I got $425, I mean I got $300 grand back, and I got $125 from the primary. If I did that over here, that means I got both $300,000 back in my pocket, and I got an extra $250. That $250 is I put back in my pocket because I left $250 in the primary house. So if I got a loan for $425 for each property, I'll be able to get all my money back on both of these new construction, and the leftover $250 I left in the primary house. Now I am literally zero money in this deal of my own personal money. If I got a loan for $425, okay? Interest rate's 5%. That's how it is right now, which sucks. My principal, interest, property tax, everything, it's about $2,600. Let's call it $2,000. I can rent this house out for $3,200. That means I make $400 a month in positive cash flow off of one deal times 2 deal. Take that times 2. Make sense? So $425 on a loan for this, $425 on a loan for this. If I do this, I will get back my new construction money. After I came out of pocket, $300 each, and an extra $125 for each, which is $250. That means that $250 I left in the other house is coming back in my pocket. All right. So let me now show you the recap of the whole thing. So, in a recap, how I financed this BRRRR deal. I bought a single family property, I remodeled the house, and I added 2 more structure on this property. And I'm gonna have no money in this deal and over $1 million equity. So let me show you the recap. The primary house, I got a loan off for $450. The ARV is $850. That means I got $350,000 of equity in that property. I get $500 a month in positive cash flow. Let's call it $6,000 a year in cash flow for the primary house. On the ADU, I got a loan for $425. The ARV is $800,000. The equity is $375,000, and we get basically $400 a month, which is $4,800 a year in positive cash flow. The dollar do the same thing: $425, $800,000, $375,000 equity, $400 a month, $4,800 basically a year. So at the end of the day, you guys, the total equity is $1,100,000 for this one deal I just did. I bought one fixer house, and I remodeled it, and I added 2 more homes on this property. And at the end of the day, I made $1,100,000. I made $1 million for one transaction. The cash flow, $15,600 a year in all 3 properties. And at the end of the day, you guys, I have all my money back in my pocket. I have no money vested. So this is what I call a smashing deal. This is the reason why I bought this property. So now you see in depth how I buy property, how I do the BRRRR, how I finance the BRRRR, and how I do it with no money vested. Key is, if you ever want to do BRRRR, you got to find the right type of property, sitting on the right opportunity. If you can add value and force value, it makes it easy if you get 30% with the equity on these deals. When you get 30% equity, you guys can literally at the end of the day have no money vested and have all this. Now, some of you guys might say, well, damn, Dad, you got $1 million in this property, all you get $15,000. Yes, pump your brakes. But remember, I got no money vested. That's like me walking up to you guys and go, here's 3 free houses that give you $15,000 a year in cash flow and $1 million equity. Would you take it? Of course you would take it, right? When the opportunity is right, we would 1031 these into other property that will make us even more money, more cash flow. But if I sold this today and just purely sell out with my tax bracket, this $1 million, Uncle Sam will probably take half of that money. I mean, I'll walk away with like $500,000 and no equity, no cash flow, nothing. When I do this, it's a good deal, and I got a lot of equity, I don't mind keeping it because I got money to keep these deals. I keep it for at least a year so I can avoid capital gains, and then later on, I can actually roll this whole equity into a 1031 to better properties. So I make way more money. This, you guys, is a smart way of doing it. This is how you create wealth forever and ever and ever. This is how I finance a BRRRR deal, that style, that standard. And you need 30% equity minimum to do it this standard. All right, so if you guys like this video, like the video for me, and also subscribe to the channel, all right? Talk to y'all soon.